Welcome to Inspire Ed, where we learn, apply, and achieve success. Welcome to Lesson 1 of Advanced Chemistry. Today, we'll be discussing matter. Matter is a physical material which has mass and volume, basically taking up space in our Earth. The three states of matter include, number 1, a liquid. It fits to the container, has a distinct volume, is not easily compressed, and its molecules slide around slowly in the container. Now I'll demonstrate what its molecules look like. There is a little space in between each molecule, hence it can be compressed a little bit, and they slide around each other. Hence there are small arrows to demonstrate their movement. This is also why they can fit into any shape of container you put them in, because they can move around and fit into all the crevices. The second one will be a solid. They have a definite shape and volume, and they're not easily compressed and merely vibrates in their fixed places. As you can see, they are very orderly and has no to very little space in between their molecules. Hence, they don't move around at all and they just vibrate, as demonstrated by these two straight lines I'm putting around these molecules. This is also why they have a fixed shape and they don't adjust to any container that you put them in. Now, next is the gas. They have no fixed volume or shape and they uniformly fill the container. They can also be compressed or expanded, depending on the shape and volume of their container. This is because there's a lot of space in between each molecule, and they move around a lot and bounce off of the container walls. Demonstrated through these big arrows, they can take up the volume of any container you put them in, and they can also be compressed due to how much space there is between each and every molecule. Now we'll be discussing all the types of matter. As we said just now, matter is basically anything that has mass and volume. Now it's separated between pure substances and mixtures. A pure substance has a distinct properties and composition, which doesn't vary between samples. A mixture instead has more or equal to two pure substances mixed together. They both retain their individual chemical identities and they both can be separated. Under pure substances, it's distinguished between element and compound. An element are pure molecules or atoms of an element that cannot be further separated, such as H2, Cl2, or O2, because they're made of the same atoms. For a compound, these are substances with more or equal to two elements combined together. This can be demonstrated through how H2 and O2 form H2O. Even though these are two different elements formed together, they bond into one pure compound with a uniform set of chemical and physical properties. A mixture, on the other hand, can be distinguished between homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous is uniform composition and properties. It can be all liquid, all gas, etc., and uniformly has the same physical and chemical properties. Heterogeneous, on the other hand, is not uniform in composition or properties throughout. For example, it can be a mix of solids and liquids, and you can physically see how its physical properties don't match throughout the entire solution. Now we'll be learning about how to separate some of these mixtures. The first I'll be discussing is distillation. Distillation is when two liquids with different boiling points are separated through evaporation and condensation. For example, if you have one liquid that boils at 100 degrees Celsius and the other one boils at 300 degrees Celsius, they each have very different boiling points. They may be situated in this flask right here over the heat, which can be controlled through this thermometer. Hence, if it's at 100 degrees and maintained at that temperature, the 100 degrees boiling point liquid will be able to evaporate and condense through this cooling water tube before dripping down into a clean and clear flask as its pure liquid form, without the other liquid in its mix, successfully separating them through their very different boiling points. The second one will be the chromatography method. This separates chemicals based on their ability to adhere to the surface of a solid. Take you have a black ink on a pencil line to indicate its starting point. You dip the strip into water and the water rises, taking the different pigments in the dye along with it. You can see red, green, and blue stop at very different points on the piece of paper. This is because you have different properties that allow them to adhere to the surface of the paper at different rates, hence separating the pigments effectively. The third one is filtration. Filtration separates solids from the liquids simply by using a filter funnel or like a filtered paper, which separates the liquids, which drips down into a flask, from the solids, which stays in a filtered paper. Magnets, on the other hand, separates the magnetic materials away from the non-magnetic materials. For example, iron fillings and sand, it will only take up the iron fillings, which you can brush off into another pan, leaving pure sand behind. Decantation is when heavy solids settle at the bottom of a solution. Hence, from then on, you can just pour out the remaining solution that's over the sediment into a clear jar, leaving only the pure sediment at the bottom. That's all for today's lesson on matter. Closing off my lesson, I hope you guys all learned something in lesson 1 of matter. I hope you guys will tune in next time.